Colette is a tough character. She's had to not only survive but flourish in a world that is kind of closed off to women and difficult for women, challenging. Colette has a very tough exterior, but inside she's very sensitive, very vulnerable. She's very touched by the fact that Linguini needs her. And also Remy needs her. She doesn't know about Remy till the very end of the film, but both of our main characters are dependent on Colette for real knowledge of how to survive in the kitchen. And Colette is kind of intrigued by Linguini/Remy because it's really Remy's gift that she's admiring in Linguini, but is all stirred up by Linguini because here's a very innocent character who seems to effortlessly create wonderful dishes, and she's kind of mystified by him. Remy's brother Emile is very amiable. He's maybe a little bit slow, kind of huggable like a teddy bear though, and is not very critical about what he eats or puts into his body. He's always in a good, sort of positive, upbeat frame of mind, doesn't really like to see conflict, wants everybody to be happy, but also doesn't have any aspirations and is mildly confused by Remy's. He's a very sweet guy, very kind of sensitive in his own way, and a really good friend, a very sweet, supportive friend who basically likes things the way they are. Chef Gusteau, who is kind of the driving influence for Remy, starts the film as a real guy who's written these cookbooks and is famous for his restaurant, his food, his approach to food, very well known. But very early on in the film, we learn that he's died. The Gusteau that we see in most of the film is not the real Gusteau, it's Remy's imagination of what Gusteau would be. He doesn't know anything that Remy doesn't really already know. It's just that it takes a form that spurs Remy on. His motto, "Anyone can cook," is an inspiration to Remy because he takes that motto to its extreme meaning, which was a rat can cook. He's really a cross between Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Star Wars films and Jiminy Cricket. He's kind of a conscience to Remy. It's a wonderful little character who's this very, very large, fat character, but he's light as a feather and kind of floats around the film and is there to lift up the spirits and drive our character forward. The key relationship in the film is not between the rats, but between our lead rat, Remy, and our lead human, Linguini. Like the Emile character, Linguini is very sweet. He's naive. He doesn't know much about the world, but he does have some sort of strong internal core. He does have a relatively open mind because he's open to this very strange relationship that he has with the rat. He's the only one that really sees how gifted the rat is. So even though he doesn't come across as a super smart character, he actually is very intuitive and very connected in many ways. But the key thing to remember is that Linguini is being kind of taken over by this other being, and he's trying to act like nothing unusual is happening, which is bizarre in and of itself because he's moving around the place like a puppet. Our main character, Remy, is a dreamer. He is drawn to food in a way that's very different from anyone else in his clan. He is drawn to fine food. Rats are not known for being especially critical about food. They'll eat just about anything. And Remy is very much sort of an outcast because he only wants to eat really fine food, and he's drawn to the differences in tastes and how to combine them, almost like a painter combines colors. He is given to passion. He has very strong opinions about things. He sounds like a wise guy, but he also sounds like somebody who experiences things on a deeper level than the other rats. Our sous chef, Skinner, is our sort of comic villain, and he's a little dictator of the kitchen. He is all about keeping people in line, and he's particularly interested in the fast food, the frozen food, stuff that's going to make him a little more money. Skinner is kind of a cross between Salieri from Amadeus and Chief Inspector Dreyfus from the Pink Panther films. He's like Salieri in that he is capable of seeing when Linguini does something special and new. He's able to recognize somebody else's genius, but he also doesn't want there to be any genius that changes the way things are. So that's the Salieri part. The Chief Inspector Dreyfus part is that he cannot comprehend how this idiot is able to constantly excel. He can't figure it out. He doesn't know what the secret is. He thinks maybe the guy's a genius, pretending to be an idiot. He can't figure it out, but he's completely haunted in the way that Chief Inspector Dreyfus is completely undone by Inspector Clouseau, who's an incompetent who always manages to win the day. For anybody that's writing, I think you imagine your perfect actors.
I haven't reviewed Gusteau's in years. My last review condemned it to the tourist trade.
It's been one of the highlights of my life to be able to write something for Peter O'Toole.
I said, Gusteau has finally found his rightful place in history right alongside another equally famous chef, Monsieur Boyardee.
Great. Now, the only thing I want to do is get the very end of the line, and when you say Monsieur Boyardee, stick in the knife and twist it. It's very important to inspire the animators, because what takes an actor very little time to say takes an animator a very long time to animate. So there better be riches in that voice that the animator can grab onto and explore and take off from. And Peter has one of those voices.
Pray you don't disappoint me.
Ego is sort of a cautionary tale about what can happen to somebody who cares more about what they think about something than the thing itself. He convinces himself that no food is up to his standards, and that's kind of why he's thin and he doesn't eat much and seems to be more and more constricted. That's kind of why we went over the top and shaped his office kind of like a coffin, is that it's kind of a dead end to be so self-obsessed. But rather than being a one-dimensional portrait of a critic, he actually ends up surprising us because he sort of finds that he does love food if it's cooked with honesty and conviction, but the food has to connect with an older, more innocent part of himself.